My name is Scarlett Hayes, 32 years old. For the last 8 months, every Monday morning at 9:00 sharp, I sent my parents $700. It wasn't charity. At least that's what I told myself. It was habit, guilt, a quiet hope that if I kept helping them, maybe they'd learn to love me again, or at least love my daughter. But I was wrong. Ava turned 6 last weekend. She wore a sparkly pink dress, the kind that shimmered when she twirled, and begged me to braid her hair like Elsa. Our little backyard had been transformed. Dollar store streamers, lemonade in mason jars, and cupcakes topped with glittery candles. Her laughter filled the air, but every 10 minutes, she looked toward the front gate. Mommy, do you think Nana and Grandpa are almost here? I forced a smile. Maybe, sweetheart. Let's give them a little more time. But I already knew they weren't coming. Ever since Ava was born, something had shifted in them, a kind of quiet disgust they never said out loud, but I could feel it in every conversation. My dad barely even looked at her the first time I brought her home. My mom held her like she was made of glass, smiling only for a photo. They never bonded with her, not once. When Ava was 3, I asked Mom to babysit so I could sleep for a few hours after a night shift. She said she couldn't handle other people's children. I laughed, thinking she was joking. But she wasn't. And later that year, she said something that still echoes in my head, that Ava looked too much like her father, the man who walked out before she was born, and that made her hard to love. I should have hung up right then, but I didn't. I told myself they were bitter, maybe grieving the life they thought I'd have. The perfect marriage, the house, the happy ending. So I kept helping. I paid their bills, sent them groceries every Sunday, even added them to my car insurance when theirs lapsed. All I ever asked in return was simple: show up for Ava. That day, as the sun dipped and the lemonade ran out, Ava's hope started to fade. She sat on the steps with frosting on her nose, holding an unopened gift bag. Maybe they forgot, she whispered. I hugged her tight, forcing cheer into my voice. Maybe. But you know what? We still had fun, didn't we? That night, when she fell asleep with cupcake crumbs on her pillow, I sat on the couch scrolling through my messages. There it was, a text from Mom that morning. Tell Ava, happy birthday from us. Nothing else. I called. I don't even know why. Maybe I wanted to hear some excuse, traffic, illness, anything. Dad answered. His tone was clipped, impatient. Why didn't you come today? I asked quietly. There was a pause, then he said it. Your child doesn't exist for us. For a moment, everything went silent. My heart didn't break. It just went numb. Then he hung up. I sat there staring at the screen, hands shaking. Not crying, not screaming, just frozen. The hum of the refrigerator was the only sound in the house. Ava's laughter from earlier still echoed faintly in my mind. Then, with a calmness that scared me, I opened my banking app. One by one, I deleted every scheduled payment. Rent, groceries, weekly transfer, gone. It was like cutting a puppet's strings. For the first time in years, the silence felt clean. Heavy, but clean. 40 minutes later, my phone buzzed again. Mom, can you order us dinner? Nothing fancy, just Chinese or something. There's no food in the house. I stared at the message. My finger hovered over reply, but I didn't type a word. They'd missed Ava's birthday, erased her with a sentence, and now they wanted takeout. I put the phone down and walked to Ava's room. She was dreaming, a smile flickering across her face. I tucked her blanket higher, brushed her hair off her cheek, and whispered, not to her, but to myself, never again. Because some betrayals don't deserve confrontation. They deserve silence. And deep down, I knew this was only the beginning. For 2 days, I didn't hear a word from them. No calls, no texts, just silence. I told myself that was a good thing. But on the third morning, my phone buzzed. Mom's voice came through, sharp and bitter. So you're really going to do this, Scarlett? Just stop helping us? I took a breath. I didn't stop helping you, Mom. I stopped letting you use me. She scoffed. We're your parents. You owe us after everything we did for you. My chest tightened. You mean the years of pretending I didn't exist unless you needed something? Or when you called my daughter a mistake? She went quiet for half a second, then snapped, Don't twist my words. I hung up. An hour later, my phone rang again, this time from an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something in me said answer. Hello? Hi. Is this Ms. Hayes? A man's polite voice. This is Richard, the landlord for your parents' apartment. My stomach dropped. Oh, hi. Is something wrong? He hesitated. I just wanted to check in because rent hasn't come through yet. You've always been reliable. Reliable. The word hit me like a slap. I'm sorry, I said carefully, but I think there's a misunderstanding. That apartment isn't mine. Another pause. Longer this time. Oh, he said, almost embarrassed. They told me you manage their payments. See. I'll reach out to them directly. When he hung up, I just sat there, staring at the floor. For months, I'd been their reliable tenant, paying for a home I'd never stepped inside. That night, I opened my laptop and closed every account tied to them: electricity, insurance, even their streaming services. One by one, I erased my name from their life. It should have felt empowering. Instead, it felt like mourning. The next morning, I was making Ava's lunch when my phone rang again. This time, it was my brother, Ryan. We don't talk often. Holidays, birthdays, maybe a random "how are you" text. But I trusted him. Hey, I said, trying to sound normal. Scar, his voice was gentle but heavy. Mom called me. Of course she did. She said you've gone crazy, that you're cutting them off out of spite. I closed my eyes. I'm not crazy, Ryan. I'm just done. He was quiet for a long moment. Then, softly, Good. I frowned. Good? He sighed. Scar, I've been sending them money too. Not as much as you. Just a few hundred a month for groceries, phone bills, whatever. I thought maybe if we both helped, they'd finally soften. My heart sank. You too? He gave a dry laugh. Yeah, turns out we've both been paying rent on the same guilt. For a second, we just sat in silence. Then he added, They told me they were struggling, but they never mentioned you. Not once. Something twisted in my chest, an ache that felt like betrayal layered over betrayal. So they were double dipping, I murmured. Looks that way, Ryan said. I thought maybe they'd come around for Ava, but after what Dad said, his voice trailed off. Ryan, I whispered, he said she doesn't exist. There was a long pause. Then he said, It's about time someone held them accountable. What do you mean? He hesitated. I'm done too. No more transfers, no more phone calls. They can figure out what existing feels like without our help. For a moment, I didn't say anything. I just listened to the quiet. Ava was humming in the kitchen, drawing stars on her lunchbox. They'll lose their minds, I said softly. Ryan exhaled. They already have, Scar. They just don't know it yet. That night, my phone rang again. Mom's number, but I didn't answer. It rang once, twice, 3 times. Then silence. I thought it was over. Until the next morning. New number, unknown caller ID. I picked up, half asleep. How dare you! Mom's voice exploded through the line. You poisoned him! You turned Ryan against us! I flinched. I didn't do anything. She was sobbing now, but every word was venom. We raised you, we fed you, You used us, I said quietly. Both of us. And now that it's over, you can't handle it. You'll regret this, Scarlett, she hissed. Families don't forget, and the world will know what kind of daughter you are. Then she hung up. I stared at the phone, heart pounding. For the first time, I wasn't scared. Just calm. Ryan texted 5 minutes later. She called me too. Said I'll burn in hell for betraying her. Stay strong, sis. This isn't over. He was right. It wasn't. Because when people lose control of their lives, they look for an audience. And my parents? They were about to find one. It started with whispers. A few relatives unfriending me on Facebook, cousins not replying to texts. I didn't care. I was too busy focusing on Ava, trying to keep her world bright and safe. But my parents didn't take silence as an ending. They took it as a challenge. A week after that last screaming phone call, I woke up to 50 missed notifications. Tags, messages, mentions. My cousin Natalie's text sat at the top of the pile. Scarlett, have you seen the video? I frowned. Video? My thumb hesitated before opening Facebook. There it was, the top of my feed, a live stream replay, 26 minutes long. The title read, The Truth About Our Daughter and the Lies That Destroyed Our Family. My blood ran cold. The thumbnail showed my mother on the couch, eyes red, clutching a tissue. My dad sat beside her, arms crossed, face tight with anger. Their posture didn't say hurt, it said performance. I pressed play. Mom sniffled dramatically. We've been good parents. We supported Scarlett through every mistake, but she's twisted things, made us villains in her little pity story. Dad leaned in. She's been forcing money on us for years, using her daughter to get sympathy, told everyone we were cruel, that we refused to see the kid. None of that's true. My stomach turned. Then he reached down, lifted a printed photo. Ava, smiling in her birthday dress, sparkler candle glowing beside her. His jaw tightened. "This child does not exist to us," he said. "She is not our family." It felt like a physical blow. I dropped my phone onto the couch. My breath caught. I wanted to scream, to defend Ava, but I couldn't move. From the screen, my mom's voice kept going, soft and venomous. "She trapped that man who left her. We don't even know if that child's his. She just wants people to feel sorry for her." Ava walked into the living room right then, still in her pajamas, holding her stuffed bunny. "Mommy, what's wrong?" I froze, forcing a smile. "Nothing, baby. Go finish breakfast, okay?" She nodded, skipping away. I waited until she disappeared into the kitchen before I let myself cry. Quiet, trembling sobs that didn't make a sound. By the time the video ended, my parents had painted me as a manipulative, bitter daughter, exploiting her own child. Over 400 people had watched it live. And the comments, they weren't all sympathetic. Some defended them, others called it disturbing. One wrote, "She sounds unhinged. Someone check on that poor kid." Ryan texted minutes later. "They really did it. They finally went nuclear. Don't respond. Don't post anything. Just wait." I stared at his messages. Wait for what? The world was already watching my parents turn my child into a weapon. But I did as he said. I didn't post. I didn't explain. Because deep down, I knew. People who thrive on lies eventually choke on their own performance. By morning, the video had been reshared dozens of times. My parents' old church friends commented things like, "We're praying for you both," and "She'll see the light one day." But others, distant cousins, neighbors, left confused or angry messages. "Why would you say that about your granddaughter? This is cruel." It spread fast like rot beneath paint. And just when I thought the worst had passed, Ryan called. His voice was quiet, controlled, but I could hear the fury underneath. "They tagged the landlord, Scar." "What?" "They actually tagged him in the comments, bragging about how you used to pay their rent. He saw it." I sat up, pulse pounding. "Ryan, what does that mean?" "It means," he said, "they just exposed themselves to the one person who can hurt them the most." That night, I didn't sleep. I kept checking my phone, watching the comment count climb. 873 views, 901, 9 Chausolv. The silence in the house felt like a ticking clock. And then the first domino fell. An email from an unfamiliar address popped up at 7:14 a.m. Subject, regarding 42 Maple Street. Body. Ms. Hayes, I regret to inform you that your parents' tenancy has been reviewed following recent online behavior. Their lease will be terminated effective immediately. They have 30 days to vacate. No further discussion. I didn't laugh. I didn't celebrate. I just sat there staring at the screen, realizing karma doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers through an inbox at sunrise. I went to wake Ava for school. She smiled up at me, still half asleep. "Mommy, can Nana and Grandpa come for my next birthday?" My throat tightened. "No, baby," I said softly. "They won't be coming anymore." She nodded, not understanding. "That's okay. We can invite Uncle Ryan instead." I kissed her forehead. "Yeah, sweetheart, that sounds perfect." But deep down, I knew. This storm wasn't done yet. Because people like my parents don't vanish quietly. They drag everyone down with them first. By the next morning, the entire town was talking. Not just about the video, but about what came after. It started small. Comments on local community pages, then screenshots, then a new post on a gossip group titled "Church Couple Exposed for Family Rant." The video of my parents' live stream was embedded right there, captioned with one brutal sentence. "How do grandparents say a 6-year-old doesn't exist?" Within hours, it spread like wildfire. I didn't even have to say a word. The truth was speaking for itself. That same afternoon, I got another call, this time from a pharmacy clerk. Her voice was nervous. "Hi, Ms. Hayes. I'm sorry to bother you. Your number is listed as the emergency contact for Mr. and Mrs. Hayes." I stiffened. "Yes. Is everything okay?" "Well," she said carefully, "your mother tried to fill a prescription, but when her card was declined, she became very upset." "How upset?" I asked. A pause, then we had to call security. By evening, someone had posted a blurry video of the scene. My mother was yelling, waving her purse, accusing the staff of discrimination. A bystander filmed it and uploaded it with the caption, "Walgreens meltdown. Woman screams over prescription." It hit 20,000 views overnight. At first, people thought it was just another viral tantrum. Then someone recognized her. Someone else connected it to the Facebook live stream. And just like that, the comments turned vicious. Isn't that the woman who disowned her grandkid? She needs help, not a camera. The husband looks like he's about to disappear. By the time I checked again the next morning, their church had deleted their names from the volunteer list. Their photos were gone from the website, erased overnight. And for the first time in years, the silence that followed didn't feel like guilt. It felt like relief. Ryan called later that day. "They're in free fall," he said flatly. I leaned against the counter. "They did it to themselves." "I know, but you sound sad." I hesitated. "I'm not sad, Ryan, just watching something die. Even if it's poisonous, it still hurts to see it rot." He didn't reply right away. Then, softly, "You've always had more heart than they deserved." That night, Ava and I baked cookies. She giggled as flour puffed into the air, sprinkling both of us like snow. For a few hours, life was normal again. Warm, safe. But normal never lasts long in my family. Sunday morning, my cousin Lauren texted me a photo from Facebook, a family reunion, one I hadn't even been invited to. Everyone was there. Uncles, cousins, even Mom's old best friend. Matching shirts, balloons, kids running through sprinklers. And right in the middle of the group shot, my parents. I zoomed in. Mom wore black, like she was attending a funeral. Dad was stiff, expressionless. They looked out of place, but still there, still pretending. The caption read, "Family means forgiving each other, no matter what." My stomach turned. I knew that tone. It was hers. She was trying to reframe everything, paint herself as the victim again. Ryan called 5 minutes later, practically fuming. They showed up uninvited, tried to make a speech. "Please tell me you're joking." "I wish." "Apparently they told everyone we abandoned them, that you're unstable, that you brainwashed me." I laughed, but it wasn't funny. It was hollow. "They can't stop performing, can they?" "Scar," Ryan said, voice low. "It's not working this time. People are starting to see through it. Even Uncle James told them to leave." I leaned back, staring at the ceiling. "They'll never stop trying to rewrite the story." "Maybe not," he said. "But this time we have the truth, and the truth has witnesses." He was right, because when people lie long enough, their world starts to collapse. Not all at once, but piece by piece. Their friends turned away. Their church erased them. The landlord changed the locks. And yet somehow, they still thought they could win back sympathy. But what happened at that reunion would make sure they never could again. The next day, the group photos from the reunion started popping up everywhere. Tagged, shared, reposted with cheerful captions like, "So good to see everyone together again." Except it wasn't good. Not for them. Ryan called that evening, his voice a mix of disbelief and exhausted amusement. "Scar, you're not going to believe this," he said. "They made a scene, a huge one." My heart skipped. "What happened?" He sighed. Uncle James tried to be polite at first, but Mom wouldn't stop talking. She kept saying things like, "No matter what Scarlett's told you, we're still her parents, and that poor child is a product of her lies." I felt a pulse in my throat. "She said that at a family reunion?" "Oh, it gets worse," Ryan said grimly. Lauren called her out. Lauren, my cousin. 24, fearless, allergic to hypocrisy, the kind of person who says what everyone else is too scared to say. "She stood up," Ryan continued, "and said, 'Before or after you told Facebook your granddaughter doesn't exist?'" The line hit me like a punch. For a second I could see it. The lawn chairs, the kids, the awkward silence spreading like a crack through glass. What did Mom do? She froze. Dad tried to speak, said it was a private matter, but Lauren wasn't done. Ryan's voice trembled with half laughter, half pain. She pulled out her phone, connected it to the speaker, and played the video, right there, in front of everyone. I closed my eyes. I could picture the scene vividly. Mom's recorded voice crying into a tissue. Dad's cold monotone declaring Ava does not exist. The sound echoing over laughter, wind, and plastic cups clinking. Someone gasped. Someone else whispered, "Oh my God." A child started crying. No one defended them. When the clip ended, Uncle James stood up slowly, his face hard. "If that's how you treat your granddaughter," he said, "then you don't belong at this table." Ryan paused. "They left right after that. No one stopped them." I exhaled shakily. "They actually played it." He chuckled darkly. "Someone filmed it too. It's already making rounds. Aunt Maria said the church ladies saw it before dinner." My stomach twisted, part shock, part pity. This isn't just humiliation, Ryan, it's collapse. He was quiet for a long moment. Yeah, he said finally, but they built it themselves. By Monday, every branch of the family tree had seen the clip. Mom's Facebook Live and the reunion confrontation had merged into one viral family scandal. The comments under the reposts were brutal. They said their granddaughter doesn't exist, then cry about being excluded. Hypocrisy at its finest. You don't lose your family by accident, you drive them away. That poor child, I hope she never sees this. By Tuesday morning, my mom deleted her Facebook. Dad followed an hour later. Their profiles vanished like ghosts finally giving up the haunting. That evening, their church issued a quiet statement online. We stand for family unity and compassion. Sometimes stepping away is the kindest thing. They were erased, not by me, but by their own words. And yet I didn't feel victory, just emptiness, because this was never what I wanted. I never wanted revenge. I wanted peace. But then something unexpected arrived in the mail. A cream-colored envelope. My name written in neat, old-fashioned handwriting. The sender, Virginia Hayward, my grandmother's sister, 78 years old, sharp, kind, and feared by everyone for her honesty. Inside was a letter, handwritten, deliberate. Scarlett, I've seen everything. I am sorry you had to endure this. Your parents have brought shame upon this family, not for losing their children, but for choosing pride over love. I have written to them directly, and to everyone else, to say this. You are no longer part of this family, not because we disowned you, but because you chose to disown a child. That little girl deserves better blood than what runs through your veins. With love, Aunt Virginia. I sat at the table, the letter trembling in my hands. For a moment, I didn't breathe. It wasn't anger I felt. It was closure. Ryan called minutes later. He'd gotten his own copy. Scar, it's over, he said softly. They've got no one left. I looked out the window at the quiet yard where Ava was chasing butterflies with a paper net. The sky was gold with evening light. Yeah, I whispered, it's over for them, but it's just beginning for us. Because for the first time in my life, I wasn't the daughter trying to prove her worth. I was a mother protecting her peace. And nothing, not their lies, not their shame, could take that from me ever again. But before I could fully exhale, I noticed something on the letter's back. A postscript, written in Aunt Virginia's tiny script. You and Ava are invited for Sunday lunch. Bring Ryan, I've made your favorite pie. For the first time in years, I smiled without hesitation. And that Sunday, when we arrived, I realized that family isn't the one you're born into. It's the one that chooses to see you. Sunday arrived with sunlight spilling through the curtains, soft, forgiving, and nothing like the storm my life had been just weeks before. Ava was sitting on the floor, coloring a picture of a house surrounded by stick figure people. That's you, me, Uncle Ryan, and Aunt Virginia, she said proudly, holding it up. We're all smiling. I smiled back, something warm rising in my chest. That's beautiful, sweetheart. It had been years since that word, family, felt like something safe. But now, standing in Aunt Virginia's cozy kitchen later that afternoon, surrounded by mismatched dishes and the smell of cinnamon pie, it finally did. Ryan was there too, laughing with Aunt Virginia as they set the table. Ava sat beside her, proudly explaining every crayon mark on her drawing. The air was full of conversation, clinking plates, and that rare kind of silence that doesn't come from tension, but from peace. Halfway through lunch, Aunt Virginia cleared her throat. You know, Scarlett, she said, I always wondered how long you'd let them take advantage of your kindness. I smiled faintly. Too long. She nodded. Kindness isn't weakness, dear. It's strength with boundaries. Most people never learn that difference. Her words landed softly but deeply. Ryan lifted his glass. To boundaries, he said. We all laughed, clinking cups of lemonade. As we ate, I caught myself glancing at the old family photos on Aunt Virginia's wall. Pictures of my grandparents, my parents, Ryan, and me as kids. In one, Mom was smiling. A real smile. Before bitterness and pride hardened her face into something unrecognizable. Aunt Virginia followed my gaze. You don't have to erase the memories, she said gently. Just remember the lesson. That line stayed with me. Later that night, after Ava was asleep in the guest room, I sat on the porch with Ryan. Crickets hummed. The air was still. Do you think they'll ever apologize? I asked quietly. He stared out into the dark. They might, but not for the right reasons. I nodded. Yeah, they'd only say sorry because no one's left to listen. Ryan sighed. You know, Scar, I thought cutting them off would feel like losing everything, but it feels more like breathing again. We sat there for a long time, saying nothing. The night didn't need words. A few days later, I met with my lawyer to finalize the no contact order. It was straightforward: no calls, no letters, no visits. I even added a clause to my will, legally excluding them from any contact or inheritance. It wasn't revenge, it was protection. When I signed the last page, I felt something unclench inside me: freedom. That evening, Ava and I baked cookies for her to bring to school. She hummed while stirring the dough, flour streaking her cheeks. At one point, she looked up and said, "Mommy, we're happy now, huh?" I froze, then smiled. "Yeah, baby, we are." And she was right. Our little home felt brighter, the air lighter. I no longer woke up with dread, waiting for my phone to buzz with guilt or manipulation. The silence now meant peace, not punishment. A week later, we returned to Aunt Virginia's house for lunch again. This time, the laughter came easier. Lauren stopped by, too, the cousin who had stood up for Ava when no one else dared. She gave me a sly smile as she walked in. "They'd hate this," she whispered. I grinned. "Good. That means it's right." She laughed, shaking her head. "You're stronger than all of them. You know that?" I shrugged. "Not stronger, just finally done." After lunch, Ava shyly handed Aunt Virginia her drawing, now with little paper hearts glued around the edges. In the middle, she'd written, in big wobbly letters, "Thank you for seeing me." Aunt Virginia's eyes filled with tears. She leaned down and hugged Ava tightly. "Oh, sweetheart," she whispered, "you're very easy to see." In that moment, something shifted in me, quiet but powerful. The years of exhaustion, guilt, and invisible striving finally melted away. Because this was it. This was the real ending. Not a dramatic confrontation, not revenge, just peace. Later that night, I tucked Ava into bed and sat beside her until her breathing slowed. I watched the rise and fall of her chest, the safety she didn't have to question. She was loved, seen, protected. And as I turned off the light, I whispered the truth that had taken me 32 years to learn. They chose pride over love. We chose peace, and that made all the difference.